concept of having both divine masculine and divine feminine aspects. Okay? How many of you find it easier to relate to and be in connection with one of those over the other? Come on, don't be shy, raise your hands. Okay. How many of you find it easier to relate to the divine feminine energies? How many of you find it easier to relate to the divine masculine energies? How many of you at times have difficulty relating to the divine feminine energies? How many of you find it difficult at times to grok and connect with the divine masculine energies? So, I'd like to talk just a little bit here today about some of my hypotheses and beliefs about why this might be true for us. So first off, I think as we're growing up and we are exposed to our primary divine masculine and divine feminine energies, oftentimes we might be having a different kind of experience in both places. How many of you would say that was true in the home that you grew up in? Okay. How many of you would even say that in one of those camps you might have even experienced some deep wounds, trauma, or the such? Yeah. So, these energies, which were supposed to nourish us, love us, support us, were at times toxic and poisonous even. And we had to learn to push that away as best as we could. That's the first one. Here's number two. How many of you at some time in your life felt abandoned or disappointed by the divine? Yeah. And often what we do when we feel abandoned and disappointed is we don't just stop there. We then go on to the third thing I'm going to talk about, which is we blame ourselves for that. We make it our fault. We tell ourselves things like, if our parents, if the divine masculine or the divine feminine is not doing what we expected, if we're feeling abandoned or disappointed in some way, we tell ourselves usually something like, well, I must not be important enough. I must not be good enough. I must not be lovable. How many of you can relate to that? when we initially do that, it is the way that we are surviving in the system that we're growing up in. It's what we have to do. We're often in situations, whether with parents or with God, with life, with the universe, where we feel totally out of control. How many of you felt that way? And it's purposeful to blame ourselves. When we do that, we're creating this illusion that we have more power and control over the situation than we really do. Well, maybe I can change. Maybe I can be perfect. How many of you have had that as your goal at times? So there are all of these beliefs, all of these conclusions that we've come to about ourselves, about God, about our parents, and then we just project that all over the place. I don't know about you, but in my life, God, the universe, has never given me a shortage of opportunities to be re-experiencing all of those thoughts and beliefs. Usually they're right in my face, you know? I try not to pay attention. I try not to want to look at that. But they're there. And often, in so many cases, they're making my life unmanageable. To the point where I cannot ignore it. To the point where I have to fall to my knees and ask for help. When we're willing to do that, when we've hit that bottom, when we know we are no longer in control, is that golden opportunity for our armor to crack. It's in that moment that somehow we find a way to have our heart be open. To be willing to feel the love, the protection of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Our lives are really an ongoing process of these opportunities. Of these opportunities to turn around all of those erroneous conclusions that we've come to about ourselves, about God, about the world, and the people who we're in relationships with. That's really what our prayer of peace today was all about. getting to that place where we're willing to surrender and to heal that. In that process, we are de-rolling God, our parents, and the people in our lives that we're just projecting onto. That we're taking some experience that we've had, some wounding that we've had, and putting that into that situation when it may not have even been there. How many of you have read the book or seen the movie, The Shack? I love that. So here's Mac Mackenzie, who grew up in this incredibly abusive home. We can only imagine all of the conclusions and decisions that he had to come to growing up in a home like that. And as if that isn't enough, I'm sure throughout his life, the universe did to him like it's done to me, brought lots and lots and lots of opportunities to look at that and deal with that. And then the ultimate opportunity, where his youngest daughter gets kidnapped and murdered. And of course, what does he do? The automatic reaction is he blames himself. We've probably been doing that forever, just blaming our stuff. But what's so beautiful about the story is he gets invited to the shack. Papa sends him an invitation. And in that story, he goes through this transformation where he's feeling and expressing and releasing all of his pain, seeing the erroneous nature of so many of the conclusions and beliefs that he's come to. And he's able to open his heart. When we are willing to open our hearts in our spiritual practices, able to receive that love, willing to be in relationship with those energies, develop an ability to be there in those energies, then we can become a channel for God's love and healing. It's like once we allow ourselves to experience that and take that in and know what that is and how that feels, we can then continue to do that for ourselves and for others that we have a desire to do that with. To me, this is what healing is all about. So, in my meditation today, I tried exposing you to some of what I consider to be just some of the divine masculine energies. And I'm just going to read them back, and I want you to see to what extent you welcome in those energies, or to what extent there are some blocks or resistances that you have to fully being in relationship with these energies. Okay, so here we go. This is just the quick list of some of the qualities. We're willing to thrust forth into the world. We're willing to put our plan into action. We're willing to create and give birth to that which has been given and assigned to us since the dawn of time. We receive strength, power, confidence, self-assuredness, joyfulness, passion, freedom, wisdom, compassion, and healing. We're willing to spread our angel wings and fly. We're willing to surrender to the brilliance of this light. What I know when trusting is that if you've had any difficulties with fully embracing and being in relationship with those energies, oh, the universe is going to be willing to show that to you. And I hope that you, as we always do, just continue to be active in this process of purification, of clearing, of de-rolling, of opening ourselves completely to the openness with the divine. And when we can do this, then we know that the divine is perfect in all of his ways. We don't have to project any of those erroneous conclusions and beliefs onto him. Then we know that God is a good, good Father. We know that his love is so undeniable. His peace so unexplainable. And with him, we are never, never alone. Could somebody do the basket for us?